stitching friends. I'm Amy, I'm the Globetrotting Stitcher. It's really great to be back with you today. I hope that you are all doing well. I hope that you have a beverage because we have a lot to share with you today. It's going to be a pretty full video. So let's dive right into it. I think we just wanted to start off, as we always do, with a couple of updates, life stuff, announcements, and then we'll get into the stitching. So first of all, just wanted to say how much I enjoyed reading all of your comments on the last video. Some of you, those of you who saw the last video, will remember that we had asked you about whether you choose your stitching projects based on, like, if you're choosing something with the idea of using it to decorate your home, or a place that you want to display it, or if you just stitch whatever you want to stitch. And so it was really interesting to read your comments and kind of get a sense of how different people approach this. I'd say most folks kind of came back and said that they have more of an eclectic approach to their home decor anyway. And so they stitch what they like, and then they find a spot for it, and it doesn't necessarily have to fit because it's a little bit of an eclectic approach, and so there's not a specific sort of theme or style that they're trying to achieve. I did have a couple of folks who came back and they said, you know, I stitch what I want to stitch, and if it doesn't fit with my decor, then I just don't fully finish it, but I had the pleasure of stitching it. So there were a few folks there like that. And then also, you know, of course, there are some folks that tend to be more like me who, you know, would say, most of the time I'm stitching stuff that I know where I want to put it in my home, or it fits with my decor, or they're stitching it for a gift for somebody, so that's not really a consideration. It was interesting, there was one lady, and I'm sorry I didn't capture the name, but she commented that she's got like a theme or a style for every room in her house. And so she was saying that when it comes to the things that she chooses to stitch, and even the things that she buys for her stash, she sticks with her themes and she sticks with the style of that room. And so if it doesn't fit, she doesn't start it, she doesn't buy it. And she said that helps her keep her whip count down and also keep her stash manageable. And I thought, you are smart. You are smarter than the rest of us. I think my approach is probably a little bit more similar to hers, but I definitely have some things that are in my stash that I want to stitch that they are not in the style of our home. And so, you know, they may just get stitched for the pure pleasure of stitching them. Anyway, thank you so much to all of you for your comments. I think it's really interesting to kind of hear how different people think about this, and have an opportunity to kind of have a two-way conversation and hear back from all of you about that. So thanks for taking the time to comment. It was really interesting to learn about how you guys think about that, and to just kind of get a better sense of that from you all. One other comment from or one other thing coming from our last video, wanted to say we heard you loud and clear. We had talked about, or I had talked about in the last video, that my best new thing was that we got new rain slickers for the dogs. And so we showed pictures of what like the prints were on the rain slickers, but we didn't actually show you the dogs and the slickers. And we had so many people who commented and said, we want to see Bear and Sophie and their rain slickers. So we haven't had any rain since, so we haven't had a good reason to use the slickers. However, we are going to share photos in this video so you guys can see what they look like in their little rain jackets, because they're super cute. So we hope you enjoy seeing those. So I think one other thing, and this was more just kind of like human interest, I guess. I had a really kind of odd experience this week. Not that makes it sound like it's a big thing. It wasn't. But I discovered a squirrel horde in our backyard. So we've had sort of a very quick transition from a more wet and cold spring than normal. It's been kind of a protracted spring, which I've been thrilled with. I'm happy having that kind of weather. And I don't like the heat of summer. So we've had a little bit more of a longer kind of springier weather than normal and cooler than normal. And all of a sudden, over the last several days, we've had this like very quick jump into very warm summer weather, very dry, lots of sunshine. It's been very abrupt. So on our back deck, we've got some deck furniture, and we keep that covered throughout the rainy months, obviously to keep, to kind of preserve the furniture. And then when the weather is nice, we'll uncover it and sit on it. And so Gary had uncovered one of the chairs, and I was out there with the dogs the other day and thought, well, I want to uncover one of the couches, because what will happen when we're out there is after business has been handled, Bear likes to poke around and explore and kind of see who else has been in the yard and sniff stuff and lay down in the grass, that kind of stuff. And Sophie's like, I just want to hang out with my mom. So a lot of times during the warmer months and the drier months, I'll sit down on the couch while Bear is just kind of chilling. And Sophie will come and she'll snuggle up with me on the couch. And so I thought, I'm going to uncover the couch. I'm going to sit down. We'll have a little snuggle with Sophie while Bear, kind of does his exploring. And so I reached over to pull the cover off the couch. And I was like, immediately was like, what the? There was a squirrel horde on our couch. It was amazing. This squirrel must have been collecting for months, but there were mounds, like all down the length of the couch. There were mounds of pine cones that an industrious, I'm assuming it was a squirrel, had been collecting for who knows how long, and kind of like scrambling up behind underneath the cover of the couch when nobody was looking, and like his little hoard. I mean, it was like a squirrel savings account. It was a pretty impressive stash. So we maybe can share a picture of what that looked like, because it was just completely unexpected and totally random. And I was just like, what the heck? Anyway, I thought I'd share that with you because it was just a little bit unusual and sort of funny. Okay, I think that's it. There's not a whole lot else to share. We're doing well. Like I said, summer has come in with a bang. So let's get into stitching. And we will start with a really big finish that has been long awaited. And I'm super excited about it. So I'm going to hand it over to Gary to let him talk about it because it's his finish.
All right. We're talking about Captain America, which is stitched on some kind of Count Pewter. I'm not going to read the prompts this time. I've said it enough. Anyway, it's like a grayish tone. The last time that you saw this, I was very close to being done. I think I may have had a little bit left to do in the center, and then there was a little bit of section off to the left that had a few colors and what have you that needed to be done. But since then, I've completed it, so this is what it looks like finished. It's a bit wrinkled. We didn't, well, was it wrinkled? No, it's not wrinkled. It was wrinkled yesterday. Anyway, so it's done. Hooray! Captain America is, there are no more stitches. Well, that's not entirely true. Down in the bottom, I think your left corner of the thing, there's a little bit of gray. It seems like one of those is coming out. I'm going to have to go back and fix that. But once that's fixed, it is finished. And it's been a work, I'll say that much. But yeah, it's done. Now I'm trying to figure out what to do with it. I want to frame it, but the only decor it would fit in this house is in my office upstairs. It wouldn't fit anyplace else. So I'm not sure what we're going to do with it once it's completely finished. Maybe I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But that's Captain America. It's done. And yeah, it's been a long and fun road on that. Not fun sometimes, but most of the time. Anyway, that's that.
It was exciting to see that get all finished up, for sure. Okay. So that's it for finishes. I did not have any. So let's talk about whips and what we've been working on and what's still in progress. So the last time we filmed an update, I was telling you I was getting ready to leave for Nairobi and I was planning to take 3 projects with me, and I did do that. And I had some adventures and mild misadventures that I'll tell you about along the way. But the first piece that I'll show you that I worked on is my sampler. I'm working on Blackberry House by Plum Street Samplers. I'm stitching it on 36 count platinum linen by Zweigert, and I'm using the called for flosses. And I should mention before I get into this, I am doing this as a stitch along with several different folks. So Sarah Stitch Addict, she's on Instagram. as well as Paula. She is a Flosstuber. Her channel is Stitching in High Heels. And then there's a couple of other folks that I know who are either viewers of this channel or who are on Instagram who I know are also working on this. So the last time you saw it, I had started working on the birdhouse that's up in the left-hand, like the upper left quadrant of the design. I had actually stitched quite a bit of the like top third of the piece, so several quilt stars. I'd stitched a lot of like the berries and sort of the pieces of the floral arrangement that are at the top part of that design. And then toward the bottom, there's like a big glass bowl or vase that the flower arrangement sits in. And that has the bowl of that vase has kind of these like, they're kind of like orange slices. I don't know what else to call them. They're like kind of, anyway. So I had done the two outer ones on that bowl. I should have had this, sorry about this. So I'll tell you where it is right now while I'm kind of getting this pinned to the board. So as I said, I took this to Nairobi with me, and yeah, for some reason, like I had issues with packing, getting ready for this trip, and I normally don't. I'm normally, you know, I feel like I've got it all together and I'm fine, and I didn't, you know, it's not like I packed at the last minute or was disorganized. It was just, for some reason, there were some things that I forgot. And so I went to pull this out. It was the first piece I worked on while I was there. And when I went to pull it out to put it in the Q-snap, I discovered that I had 3 sides to the Q-snap, but I did not have the 4th. And I was just like, how did I leave one of the sides of the Q-snap? And so I ended up, fortunately, my travel piece is in a hoop. And so I was able to kind of de-hoop my travel piece and use my hoop for my my kind of regular stitching while I was there. But I was a little bit disgruntled because I don't like working in a hoop as much as I like working in a Q-snap. Anyway, here's where it is right now. So I actually got a fair bit, the week that I was working on this while I was in Nairobi, I got a fair bit of stitching time in, and I was pretty pleased with what I got accomplished. Because I was working in the hoop and I didn't have as much kind of working space to work with as I would have in a Q-snap, I had focused on the right side of the design here. So I filled in most of this going down. There are some gaps that I'll need to go back and fill in the next time, because when I was packing, there are mostly on the chart, it gives you an option of either a fancy floss or a DMC equivalent. So for the fancy flosses, those are all in the project bag with this. So I had them, it was no problem. But for some reason, I had forgotten to go through and grab those couple of DMC that I was going to need to work on this. So, and the reason for that is that how I do that on a piece like this, where I decide, am I going to use DMC or fancy floss, is that if there's not a lot of stitches or a concentration of stitches in a particular color, I'll just go with the DMC, because I don't see the point of paying extra for a fancy floss if I'm not going to get the benefit of the variegation, because there's not enough stitches to show it. So there were a few colors that was the case, and so I'm using the DMC. At any rate, I forgot to grab the DMC and pack it into the project bag before I left. So there are a few places where there's a handful of stitches and 1 or 2 different colors that I'll have to go back and do. So what you can see is I filled in quite a few of the berries here. I stitched in a number of these leaves that I had either started or hadn't stitched yet. I'm very close to finishing off this pretty pink bird. I stitched in this kind of silvery gray leaf here, silvery blue gray. And then you can see I got almost all of the fill-in done on this kind of the bowl part of the vase, or this bit here. So a fair bit of stitching. I was quite pleased with my progress, considering how busy work trips tend to be and how little stitching time I usually get. It felt good to make some good progress on this. So I'm really happy with this. I've been starting to kind of look at, I've shared in past videos that I am stitching this piece in honor of my dad. And I think I mentioned the hashtag for the stitch along is Blackberries for Dad, SAL. And so what I want to do is kind of put his initials or his name, I haven't decided which, and his birth date and maybe his place of birth. And so I've been starting to think about where is it that I want to kind of plug those in this piece so they fit and they're not a distraction. But at any rate, that's where this is right now. I'm super happy with it, and I just think it's a gorgeous piece. It's been really fun to work on. Okay. The next piece that I worked on while I was traveling was Nice Snowflakes. This is a chart by Filigram, and I'm stitching it on 32 count colonial blue Wexford linen by Silkweaver. And I came up with a DMC conversion for this one. I am not using, I think I'm only using 1 or 2 of the called for flosses. And anyone who's interested, I'm happy to share that conversion. Just send me a message. So the last time you saw this, where was I? I had stitched in several of the quilt stars across the top. I had stitched in the word snow across the top, and I had made some pretty solid progress in stitching the larger of the 2 snowmen and getting his scarf in. So here is where I am right now. I made decent progress, but not in Nairobi. So this is the second piece I worked on while I was there. And the week that this came out was so busy. It was a really busy work week. I was having really long days where I'd be like starting breakfast meetings at 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the morning. And then my meetings, my actual day of meetings would go until 6:30 at night. And then a lot of times I either had debrief meetings with my team or like a work dinner, a business dinner with partners. And so it was like, a lot of times it was like 9 or 10 o'clock before I'd even get back to my room at night. So I put in a couple of stitches here and there, but I even had one day where I was just so tired when I got back at the end of the day that I didn't even want to stitch. So virtually all of the progress that you see here came in because I decided to work on this on the plane on the way home. And that was mainly a decision that was like, I didn't feel like taking it out of the hoop to put the hoop on something else. So I just decided to work on this. And then I had one day of stitching on it after I got home. So that was where almost all of this progress came from. But as you can see, again, because this was in a hoop for most of the stitching, I was kind of fairly restricted in the area I worked in. So I did finish the big snowman. He is a chunk of stitching, but it was good to get him done. Kind of stitched in these little pockets of snow at the base of the 2 snowmen. Started stitching this bottom border in, and then started stitching in this little guy here, who is his, I'm assuming, kid, his snow kid. One thing I did discover is that somewhere up in here I have a miscount. And I think I know, at this point, it doesn't seem like it's going to negatively impact the design. So I'm just going to leave it. But if, as I keep going, I find that I can't fudge it, I may need to rip out some of this up here and redo it. So fingers crossed I can just make it work. Right now it looks fudgeable, but we'll just have to wait and see. But that's where I am on this piece. All right. Let's hear from Gary next on what he has been on his piece.
Okay, so I'm working on human beings, and that's, what is it, the deranged stitcher or something? I don't know. Let me see what that is, who's doing that. Let's see. Okay, so human beings, it's a Demented Stitcher. It's designed by the Demented Stitcher, which is an Etsy shop. The Captain America one is also an Etsy shop. That one is called Awesome Pattern Studios, if anybody wants to do that one. Anyway, it's stitched on 16 count rock salt Aida by Color and Cotton, and it's with the called for DMC. So the last time that this was seen, I think I had just finished the S and the thick R, anyway, which is the trademark part of it. I haven't done too much on this because I was trying to get Captain America finished, but so the way it looks now is that I've got the, you can see where it says 100%, I don't know, organic, and then I started the top of the black border that will be covering, the colors may vary, will be the words that are below the border. And that goes all the way over to past the S. So I'll finish that, and we shifted it in the Q-snap so I could get to all of it. And then once that's done, I'll do the words, and then I'll do the border, and then this will be done. I'm not going to make any promises, but it probably will, if it's not done by the next time we shoot, which I think is either in a week or 2 weeks. It's hard to say because sometimes we put it off for a week for whatever reason, but we still stay on the schedule. So then I would have to shoot next week, which it's not going to be done by next week. But if we shoot in 2 weeks, there's a good chance it'll be done. Anyway, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. But that's human beings, and I like that one. I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with it when it's done, but I like that one. Okay, as far as Satchmo goes, I did not get a start on that, and it's my bad. I didn't get the pattern printed because I don't use the electronic stuff. I'm around electronics pretty much all day, and most of my career has been around electronics, so I like a break from that from time to time. So I just use the paper stuff, and I did not get it printed, so I couldn't start Satchmo. But we're going to get that taken care of soon, and the next time we come back on, I will have a start on Satchmo, and I might have another start too on the women who behave. It all depends on where I get with the human beings. Human beings is just, there's only one color left. It's just black, and it's all pretty straightforward cross stitch. There's nothing magical, so it should go pretty quickly. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. And yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, on the brave women or women who behave or whatever the title is, I was watching Kelly from Pages and Stitches the other day, and she was talking about, she doesn't have that design, but she has sort of like a sister kind of design by the same designer that she's going to be starting. And so it'll be kind of fun to watch her working on that, and something that's similar to what Gary's going to work on when he gets that one started. Okay, so the next thing I have to share with you is my travel stitching. So I am working on Christmas Cheer Pin Pillows by Jeanette Douglas Designs, and I'm stitching the Happy Holidays pillow. I am stitching this on 36 count Stars Hollow blend linen by R&R Reproductions, and I'm using all the called for flosses. So the last time you saw this, I had just picked it up again for kind of like the first time in a while, like literally months, and had started working on it again. And so I was working on carrying the border. I hadn't finished carrying the border all the way around yet, but I was working on kind of the red stitches that I think are like berries in the border, and then had started stitching in some of the green leaves in the border. So here's where it is right now. Pretty decent progress, actually. So as you can see, I've managed now to carry the red border all the way around, and have started stitching in the green, more of the green leaves, and carrying that down. I've got the 3 poinsettias at the top of the piece here that are all partially stitched in now, and I've started stitching in the words Happy Holidays here, just a bit of a start on that. So this one actually would have had more progress than it does. I had pulled it out to work on it a couple of days ago, and when I was working on it, I had started stitching this H here for Happy, and I kept thinking, gosh, that looks like it's going to be a little crowded when you have to add the second word down here, but whatever, it's fine. My border met up, and you guys know, like, that's the gold standard in cross stitch when it comes to, did I stitch this correctly and are there any mistakes? Did your border meet up? If your border met up, you're good. My border met up, but I am not good. I somehow managed to make the same counting error on both of the side borders, and I stopped a couple of stitches too high. And so this border is up too high. And I didn't discover it, like confirm that I had actually made a mistake, until I was carrying these green leaves down here. And I got started on this leaf, and I was like, that red stitch is not supposed to be there. What's going on? And so I did some checking against the chart and I discovered what I had done, and I was just, fortunately, it's not actually a lot of stitching to have to rip out. So, but for whatever reason, it hit me the wrong way and I was really irritated about it. And I was like, I'm not working on this right now. I will work on something else. So I put it down. So the next time it comes up, next time I have a chance to work on it, I'll pick out this bottom border, I'll fix my mistake, and we'll carry on like nothing ever happened. But I was just a little bit miffed. And so I set it aside for the afternoon that I had it. So, but anyway, as I say with all of the pin pillows that I've worked on so far, I really love this. The colors, I love like the classic Christmas vibe that it's got. And so I do look forward to moving forward with this one once I've fixed my mistake. Okay, one last WIP to share with you, and that is my weekend stitch. So I am slowly but surely plodding my way through Butterfly Port Mauve by Heaven and Earth Designs. I am stitching this 2/1 and a half stitch tent stitch combination on 28 count easy grid Lugana. So the last time you saw this, I was right around 13,500 stitches, and I put in about 800 stitches since then. So I'm at like 14,300-ish. And here's where she is. So since the last time you saw this, of course, I've continued to work in here. There's more of a curlicue vine emerging here. I did end up having to move my Q-snap down, so that's always good. And for me, it's always encouraging to have an opportunity to kind of pull this out of the Q-snap and actually see the real progress, and get a feel for how that background is stitching up and the color is shifting, and how pretty it is. One of the things I was a little bit excited about, so when I stitch this, I use kind of my own variation on the typewriter method that Sarah Stitchin' Mommy does with her full coverage. And so what I'll do is that I will, in whatever the section is I'm working in, I'll start at the topmost unfinished stitch, and we'll stitch in that entire, like take a length of thread, stitch that whole thing in, then come back up and pick the next highest stitch in kind of the section where I'm working. And I did have one of the flosses that I was stitching in this last time around that the length of thread ran out before I got to it. But when I was looking at where the next stitches were going to go, it would have carried me over in to start stitching in the big butterfly that is the main element of the design. So I'm still a long way from really working in that. But to me, it was really exciting to see that like some of the stuff I'm working on now could start carrying me over to some of the more exciting elements of the design. So yeah, coming along slowly but surely. It's gonna get done someday, but not anytime soon. So that's where I am on that. Okay, let me make some space over here. Got a little pile of stuff. It's blocking. All right, here we go. So next, we're going to talk about some haul and some stitchy kindness. So just one piece of haul, and that is, so this has been a few months ago now, but Gary and I unexpectedly kind of came into a little bit of money that we weren't expecting. Unexpected. Never mind. Sorry. Yeah, so we like unexpectedly came into $100, and so we decided to split it and kind of use it for a little bit of mad money. And so Gary had used his, and he got, I think, action figures.
I got Bane.
There you go.
This is a picture of Bane.
Bam.
Now you can see why I bought Bane.
And so he's been gently prompting me for a while to use my $50 for something. And part of the reason I hadn't used it because it was cash, and I'm just not good about using cash. And also I'm like, oh, I don't know what I want. And for whatever reason, there's a Dimensions kit that it should have been on my wish list a long time ago, and it wasn't. So it's a kit that Luda from Cross Stitch with Luda, she actually finished this one several years ago, and I remember seeing it on her videos and thinking, oh, that's so beautiful. And then I've been seeing it kind of making a resurgence lately where a couple folks are stitching on it. So I think Sarah Stitch and Mommy is working on it like once a month. Pam from, I think it's Pam from Just Keep Stitchin' is working on it. And so I saw it and I was like, oh yeah, I love that. Why isn't that on my wish list? And so I thought, you know what, that's what I'm gonna use my little mad money with, or for. So I picked up the Finery of Nature it's a Dimensions Gold collection kit. I think this is absolutely gorgeous. Love the colors. I have no idea when I'm gonna start it, but I'm super happy to have it in my collection and to kind of be able to add it to my list of things that I'm gonna stitch at some point. So that's my haul. And then I have some amazing stitchy kindness. This just, again, blew me away. So when I came back from my trip to Kenya, which I'll tell you a little bit more about in a minute, Gary had like kind of collected all of the mail that came in while I was gone. And so I stumbled in the house, and it was like after 24 hours of travel, and I was exhausted. And he's like, you got a package. And I was like, a package? And there's this big package on the counter. And it was from our friend Sarah. You always hear us talk about Sarah, Stitch Addict, because she's a friend. And she's been a great stitch along buddy. And, and she's somebody that we just keep in touch outside of Flosstube now. And it's really lovely. So Sarah has sent us a couple of lovely gifts over the last couple of years. This one I had no idea it was coming. I was completely in shock. And so I tore into it like a rabid squirrel because it was very exciting. And it was just like such a sweet and amazing gift. So first, this sweet, beautiful, oh, that's upside down. Sweet, beautiful card with a lovely, sweet message in it. So really, really love that. Thank you, Sarah. And then there's one thing that we don't have to show you, and that is Sarah, every time she sends us a gift or a package, she always includes some kind of delicious candies from New Zealand, because Sarah is from New Zealand. And so this time she sent us these chocolate fish that had like a raspberry marshmallow inside. So we pretty much demolished those in like...
They're gone.
like 24 hours.
We ate them.
We ate them.
Like this.
We don't even have packaging to show, just like that. Puffy cheeks and all. They were delicious. They were so good. So those did not last long in this household. So yeah, that was, we ate the sweets, but then she sent some really lovely, awesome, amazing, beautiful things. It was just such a thoughtful gift. So the first thing is this amazing chart, Rejoice Evermore. This was one of Brenda Gervais' releases a year ago at market time frame. And it was like one of the big hits of market. And I absolutely love this. It is such a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. I've seen a lot of people start it. I've seen a couple people finish it over the last year. And so Sarah also has a copy of this, and I'm like, we need to do a stitch along. I don't know when, but at some point we need to do a stitch along on this because it is just beautiful. The colors are fabulous. So love it. The other thing that was in the package, so amazing. So about 2 years ago, Sarah sent us a package, and she had made beautiful project bags for both Gary and for me. And those project bags are well loved and well used.
Mine's Batman and Robin.
It is.
And it has a little pouch with it.
Yes.
Batman and Robin pouch.
So Sarah sent along a couple more beautiful handmade project bags. So the first is, and she always makes, like Gary said, the little pouches. So sweet. And they're so great for like, it makes these great for traveling with because you can put all of your like bits and bobs in your pouch. But first, beautiful lined project bag. It's got a nice little zipper pull on it, but this gorgeous fabric with the blue and the teal aqua and the gold. I absolutely love this. So, so pretty. It's just a gorgeous fabric. And like, I don't know why, but I've been getting into birds for the last couple years. So it's super fun that there's birds on this. And one of the other things that I love about Sarah's bags is that she makes nice big bags. Like, I don't like a small project bag. I like a project bag that I can like stuff. And so I love Sarah's bags because she makes, I mean, they're just like a great, great size. So this gorgeous bag with the pouch. And then as if that weren't enough, this gorgeous bag, also with a pouch, also with a beautiful zipper pull, beautifully lined. Like, those flowers are so pretty. I love these colors. And like, my favorite color is teal. I know that's like super 80s, but whatever, it is what it is. But like teal and red, two of my favorite colors. We had teal and red in our wedding. And so this is just perfect for me. I'm obsessed with it. I just love it. It is so pretty. So she sent those. And then the creme de la creme is she made me a Stitchy gift, you guys. And I've only received like a handful of Stitchy gifts in my day. So one of them, a couple of years ago, I was really lucky. My local Stitchy group, those of you who watch Becca from Sambry Stitches, she's part of my local Stitchy group that I don't go to as often as I should because life is busy. But I got a Stitchy gift from her in a Christmas exchange a few years ago. I haven't really gotten a Stitchy gift since, until now. So Sarah made me a biscornu, and you guys, like, this is so beautiful. And it's her very first biscornu. She did an amazing job on it, but it's just stunning. It's like, and I think this is a 46 count fabric because these are teeny tiny squares, but like there's beautiful metallic floss. There's the birds. There's these gorgeous, like, I'm not sure if these are flowers or berries. I think they're flowers, but so beautiful. And then on the back, she stitched in our names and the areas that we live in. So she's from the Auckland area of New Zealand, and you guys know that we live in Washington in the US. And so she stitched that on here, and it was just blew me away. Absolutely incredible. Such a thoughtful gift. Sarah, I can't thank you enough. Like, just, I so appreciate your friendship. So I had to share that all with you guys because so, so amazing and beautiful. So thank you. Okay, so that's it for Stitchy goodness, Stitchy kindness. So I'm going to just share a couple of things quickly about my trip to Kenya. There is something that's Stitchy related here. So, but if the globetrotting piece is not something you're interested in, this is a great stopping off point for you. Thanks so much for spending some time with us. If you do want to hear a few things, then stick around for the next couple minutes and I'll share just a little bit and then we'll wrap it up. So it's a good trip. As I said before, it was a really busy trip work-wise. That seems to be par for the course. So productive, if nothing else. It was a little bit of we had a bit of an adventure getting there. So it was kind of funny. So I have a preferred airline, obviously, and a preferred route. And I really, when I'm flying into Africa, I prefer to go through Amsterdam for a variety of reasons. I've flown through a lot of other airports, but I like flying through Amsterdam. Schiphol is just a great airport. Anyway, that sounds like a really weird thing to say, but just trust me, when you travel a lot, like you develop favorite airports. Anyway, so we were on the plane. My colleague who was traveling with me, we were on the plane in Amsterdam getting ready to depart. And I just thought I'd share this with you guys because it became comical how hard it was to get out of Amsterdam. So before we actually boarded, we got to the gate and they were like, oh, your flight's going to be delayed by a couple minutes and it's going to be fine. But so we're like, okay, so we boarded like 15 minutes late, no big deal. So they get everybody on the plane, they close the door, we're ready to rock and roll. And the pilot comes on and he's like, oh, we're going to be delayed about 15 minutes. There's air traffic control is on strike in France. And so we have to do some extra coordination because we don't have them to help. So just give us a little bit of time and we'll be out of here. Fine, no problem. So we sit there and he comes back on in 15 or 20 minutes and he's like, great, we got that cleared. But there's another problem. And that is that with the conflict that's happening in Sudan right now, Nobody's flying over Sudanese airspace. It's not safe. So we have to take a side route because normally we would fly right over Sudan. So he's like, and because a lot of flights are, going this way, there's, more planes competing for the same airspace. So there's extra coordination. So it's going to take us about 20 minutes to figure out where our spot is in line. We'll let you know when we're cleared to go. Fine. So we have he comes back on at least once or twice. So it was, we'd been sitting there in the plane at this point for a little over an hour when we finally got our spot for the route, the side route around Sudan to get to Kenya. So he comes on, he's like, great news. We're all cleared for takeoff. We've got our spot in line. Everybody buckle up. We're going to head out. So everybody buckles up, the plane backs up. We're taxiing toward the runway and all of a sudden the plane stops. And I'm like, what's happening? And the pilot comes on and he's like, so we've just been informed that there's a family on this flight and one of the family members didn't get on the plane and his luggage did get on the plane. His luggage is underneath, but he didn't make it on the flight in time. And legally, we're not allowed to do that. We have to have, if your luggage is on the plane, you have to be on the plane. So he said, he's back at the gate. And he said, we have a choice. We can either let him get on the plane or we can take his luggage off the plane. And it's faster to just let him get on the plane. So we're going back to the gate to get this person that didn't get on the flight. And I'm sitting in my seat and I'm like, never in all the years of flying have I ever had a plane that was at the runway ready to take off. And they're like, wait, we forgot somebody and going back for that person. But we did. So we go back to the gate. They open the doors. Guy gets on the plane. He goes and finds his seat. They close the doors and the pilot comes back on and he says, well, we have to wait for a new spot in line. So just sit tight. And so they prioritized us. So we waited another 20 minutes or so. We got our spot in line to go around Sudan. Pilot comes back on and he's like, great, we've been cleared. And mind you, at this point, it's been a good 2 hours past our takeoff time. The pilot comes back on and he's like, okay, we have a spot. We're cleared to go. Buckle back up. We're gonna do this. Everybody buckles up. And the plane starts to back out. And all of a sudden it stops. And the pilot comes on. And at this point, you can tell he's trying not to laugh because he's just like, what else could possibly go wrong? And he's like, well, this has never happened in all the years I've been flying, but our backup truck just broke down while it was pushing us away from the gate. So we're stuck here until we get a new backup truck. So fortunately, it didn't take them very long to get a new backup truck. They got us out and on our way. But it was just so funny, to be sitting there because it was just what else could possibly go wrong? The plane, the wings could fall off. I mean, it was just very funny. Like I said, it was comical by the time it was all said and done because every time the speaker would crackle or whatever and the pilot would come on, you'd be like, what next? So anyway, I thought I would tell you guys about that because it was just so random and it was kind of funny. So anyway, as I mentioned a couple minutes ago, one of the things that was super cool about this trip was I found a local needle workshop in Nairobi, which blew my mind. So as you had heard earlier, when I was not paying attention when I was packing because I had all this, I had a number of things that I needed that I didn't bother to pack, just all for cross stitch. And so when I pulled out my nice snowflakes to start working on that, I had packed all the DMC for it, but for some reason I wasn't paying attention to the fact that I had almost no white. And that design is 65% white. And I was like, well, I'm not going to make much progress on this. I don't have enough white. And so I was sitting there and it was a weekend and it was, so I had a meeting with my team, but we didn't have any meetings with external partners. And so before the meeting with the team, I was like, I'm just going to see if I can find any place in Nairobi that carries DMC. I know it's a long shot, but I'm going to check. So I got on the Google, put in DMC Nairobi, and the first thing that pops up, and it's the only thing that pops up, but the first thing that pops up is this shop called In Stitches. And my mind's like, what? And so I look and I'm like, where is this place? Am I going to have to go all the way across town to get to this place? And my mouth like fell open because it said, you know, whatever shop in Sarit Center in Woodlands, Woodlands, Nairobi. No, it's not Woodlands. It doesn't matter. You guys don't care. it's the neighborhood that I stay in. And the Sarit Center, I could literally see from my hotel room window. I've shopped in this center many times over the years because it's literally like 5 minutes around the corner from the hotel. Like I said, I can literally see the shopping center from the window of my hotel room. It's super close. Like, you get a snag in your hosiery, I just go to the Sarit Center. You know, if you want to have a quick lunch, you go to the center. You know, I mean, there's banks, there's whatever, everything you need. It's like a mall. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. The only local needlework shop in Nairobi is literally around the corner from my hotel. You gotta be kidding me. I can see this place from my hotel room. My mind was blown. I was so excited. And I was like, calm down. They may not have what you need. They may have embroidery supplies, but it may not be what you need. Don't get your hopes up. So I get my shoes on, I grab my cash, I head out because I didn't have a whole lot of time before I had to get back for a meeting. I head out, I go into the place. I have passed this store many times. There's like a shoe store the next level down that I've bought shoes at. Like, I have been past this shop and I never noticed it somehow. But so I get up there and the sign says in stitches and it says DMC right on the sign. And I was like, hooray! I was so excited, you guys. So I go in there, I'm like all smiles, talk to the guy. So he gave me permission. I was like, I'd love to talk about your shop on my, my YouTube channel. He's like, oh yes, of course. So it's not just a local needlework shop. So, I mean, they have some needlework supplies. And I took pictures to share with you guys. So they've got, like a selection. They've got a pretty good selection of DMC. Like, they've got the full line of standard DMC. They had quite a bit of the variegated DMC. They even had a good selection of DMC silks, which I haven't seen that good of a selection anywhere else. So I was really impressed by that. They were beautiful. They carried John James needles, which I was like, yes, that's what I stitch with. But they had some hoops. They had a small selection of DMC kits. So I took some video of that to show you guys. So it was a limited, and a few fabrics. It was a limited selection of cross-stitch stuff, but it was kind of like a one-stop shop for crafting. So they had crochet, they had knitting, they had a wall of like fabric for sewing. And so it totally made my day. And it just blew my mind that I've been staying in this hotel for 10 years. I've been going to this shopping center for 10 years. And I never knew that if I needed to get cross-stitch supplies in Nairobi, there was a place that I could do it. So if you're ever in Nairobi and you run out of DMC, go to the Sarit Center in Westlands, Nairobi, and you'll find what you need. So anyway, that was super, super exciting. I did end up picking up, I asked the lady when I was checking out, because I did pick up a skein of floss, and it was 120 Kenya shillings, which comes out to, with the current exchange rate, it's about 88 cents in US dollars. So a little bit more expensive than what I would pay here. Our DMC runs about 66 cents a skein, but still cheaper than what you'd pay in Australia or the UK. So, yeah, I was super, super excited. And the lady said they've been in that spot for like almost 40 years. So who knew? It was fantastic. And then I think just really, really quickly, kind of a funny thing, I'm telling this just because it happened at the same time. So I was on my way back to the hotel. I'm like floating on a cloud because I'm super happy that I found cross-stitch supplies in Nairobi. And I was crossing a street, and of course you look both ways to cross the street, and in Nairobi you look both ways a couple of times. And so I look up the street, and there's a guy walking down the middle of the street carrying 2 puppies. And I'm a sucker for puppies. Like, my face automatically was like, and of course he saw that, and he was just like, that lady likes puppies. So he hurries up to me, and I was like, oh no, because you're not supposed to talk to strangers in Nairobi. So he comes up to me with his adorable little street puppies, and he's like, would you like to buy a puppy? And I was like, yes, I would love to buy a puppy, but I can't take a puppy home. So can I just pet the puppies? I can't buy one. And he's like, yeah, you can pet the puppies. So I pet the puppies, and they're so sweet and soft and cute. And so pet the puppies, and I thanked him, and I was like, you really need to get back to the hotel, because in the back of my mind I'm like, you're breaking all the rules. You're breaking all of the rules of traveling safely. So I was like, thank you, and then I left, and I pulled out my phone because I was so excited, and I was like, Gary, puppies, Nairobi, cross-stitch shop, and And again, I'm like, you're not supposed to have your phone out because people will like walk, like if you pull your phone out while you're walking down the street, people will like come up and snatch and grab and like run off with your phone. So you're not supposed to. And it was a really foolish thing that I did. And fortunately, it didn't come back to bite me. I was fine. I will not do that again. And I know better because I have been going along, Anyway, so I get back to the hotel and I rush upstairs to get to the meeting that I'm supposed to go to. And a couple of my colleagues were already in like the room where we were meeting. And the one gentleman is from Uganda and his name is Sammy. And Sammy comes up and we greet one another and he's he's like, so did you get a puppy? And I was like, and I'm in my mind, I'm like, wait a minute, did I send my team a message about the puppies? And he's like, and I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, let me tell you a story. So I'm sitting here working on my laptop, minding my own business, and I look out of the lounge window and I look down and I see this woman coming out of the shopping center and walking into the street. And I was like, okay. And then I see this woman start petting puppies because a guy comes up to her with puppies. And I was like, what is this crazy white woman doing? And then I realized it was you. And I was like, oh. He's like, and I was like, I'm going to send her a message. He said, I almost sent you a message to say, get away from the guy with the puppies. Amy, what are you doing? But then I didn't want you to pull out your phone. And he said, so finally you walk away from the guy with the puppies. And I'm like, okay, good. She walked away from the guy. She's coming back to the hotel. No, it's fine. And then you pulled out your phone. And I was like, I know, I'm sorry. So I got in trouble with my colleague who was like, don't do that again. I was like, I know. But anyway, I was just like, that was one of those like best day ever because puppies and cross stitch in Nairobi. It was great. All right, enough rambling about the trip. It was a good trip. And yeah, I'm glad to be home. It felt like a long time to be away. So quickly, I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to tell you about what we're going to be working on over the next couple of weeks between now and when we update you again. I'm going to spend a week working on my wild card, which is Bush Market. I have a ways to go, but I'm going to try and push for a finish. And we'll see if I make it because I'm ready to kind of move on from that piece. So I really want to get it done if I can. After that, I am going to spend a week working on my full coverage, which is Rose Trellis In by Heaven and Earth Designs. I'm in a really fun spot with that one, so I'm really looking forward to getting time on that. And then depending on when we film our next update, I may also start working on my sampler again, which you saw today, Blackberry House. So we'll see. And then as far as Gary, he is going to be working on Human Beings. We'll see if he gets that one finished. And then potentially a couple of new starts for him. So hopefully we'll have some fun and exciting new content for you in the next time we update you. So I think that does it for us today. I've been rambling on for a while now. So we hope that you're doing well. If you like our videos, we do hope you'll give us a thumbs up. Please feel free to leave a comment. We do love hearing from you. And if you ring the little bell, it gives you a notification when we post a new update. You can follow me on Instagram between videos. I'm globetrotting_Stitcher. And you can send me an email to globetrottingstitcher@gmail.com. So with that, we hope you're doing well. We hope that you are enjoying all of your stitching, and we will talk to you really soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Have fun storming the castle.